Disney's oversaturation of soulless live-action remakes goes to show how creatively bankrupt they have become in the past decade, and it's shameful to see because Disney over the past century has shown us how creative a company they used to be, with creating classics like The Lion King, Aladdin, Hunchback, Tarzan, and the list goes on. Now this video is kind of a warning to the YouTube movie reviewers such as The Critical Drinker, Jeremy Johns, Shay Frillis Productions, Doug Walker of Channel Awesome, Chris Duckman, and even Moist Critical. I doubt this video will reach out to them, but if it does, please do not review the live-action Snow White coming out this year. Ignore it at all costs. This movie is already making itself out to be nothing more than another Disney live-action adapted slop fest. And to add insult to injury, Snow White's already building itself up to be one of the most hated movies of all time by the general public. Look at the trailer's dislike to like ratio on YouTube. Yikes. And most of this hatred all revolves around Snow White herself, Rachel Zegler, and how she has proven herself to be nothing more than an entitled, narcissistic brat who can't keep her foot out of her damn mouth.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Yeah. Weird. So we didn't do that this time. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby. But it's one of those things.
The reality is that the cartoon was made 85 years ago, and therefore it's extremely dated when it comes to the ideas of women being in roles of power.
What made you want to step into this world of DC heroes?
I needed a job.
As all of this was happening, Rachel Zegler simply couldn't stand by as she decided to take matters into her own hands and trash Jeremy's name on Twitter, regardless of whether or not any of the accusations were true, while also throwing other incriminating accusations at him. She initially tweeted, "Can I be the new Hawkeye?" After which she followed it up by saying, "Actually, I think the new Hawkeye should be a trans woman of color to stick it to that racist, sexist, transphobic garbage monster." She wasn't done there either, as she then went on to tweet a third time, saying, "And deaf. Proper representation for the incredible deaf hard of hearing community. A deaf trans woman of color, yes." One user even criticized her by saying, "You need to learn the facts before you start running your damn mouth." Turns out, most of the story is BS. Rachel couldn't help but respond to this comment as she stood her ground on everything she had said, not even remotely going to address the story that came out today, but he has made racist, sexist, transphobic comments and totally disrespected the deaf community. Jeremy himself then went on to talk about how he felt about the way that everything he did was criticized from one way or another, and how he actually felt like it spoke more of everyone who was talking about it than himself. "I don't respond publicly or privately to nonsense. It only empowers it. If you respond, do it. You give it gas. I don't fuel fires. I just don't do it. I refuse to." Many people actually felt like this could even be a very direct response to some of the things that Rachel had said, as it was very clear that he didn't feel the need to defend himself, as he himself believed he was innocent. Rachel speaking so freely about how important it is to ignore hate and that as long as you know that you're doing your best, everything should be fine, has truly caused uproar online, as many fans almost couldn't believe how incredibly hypocritical this seemed considering all of the hate trains she has started in the past. It's not just Jeremy either, as she has been known to initiate hateful talks regarding many figures online, like when she started a war against Gina Carano over pronouns. Do not make fun of pronouns. They are not a joke. Pronouns are validating. Pronouns are cool. Put your pronouns in your bio. I wear my pronouns on a button sometimes. It's a good thing.
This video completely exposes everything about Rachel Zegler. It completely shows that she is a liar and that she really is a flaming narcissist. So let's go ahead and get into this and see what this is all about.
I get stopped for photos every time I'm online for the Snow White ride, and it is I have to pretend like, oh God, well, crazy that we're in front of this.
Wait, how long?
It's like I'm standing there waiting for the photo op, being like,
She is, this woman, okay, Rachel Zegler is one of the most entitled human beings I've ever seen in my life. And as someone who loves to play the victim, that she has had such a tough life. It's so tough being a non-white person? She seems to have it pretty good.
Decided that she was going to talk about divisive political issues in far-flung countries immediately underneath her advertising for the movie. Issues which her co-star is on the other side of. That's got to be one awkward set, hasn't it?
It was bizarre to watch one of Disney's actresses go on basically a national press tour where she publicly attacked the company's legacy work. The very work that Walt Disney built the foundation of his empire on and put the company on the map. Of course, her comments were not well received. Are we surprised? No, not really. And instead of appealing to existing fans and potential new viewers, Zegler instead crystallized herself as a problem. Since then, she has only continued to dig her own grave, doubling down by calling those critical of her casting racist and misogynistic. She's even recently made disparaging comments about Trump supporters that she eventually had to walk back.
I apologise if I spent too long showing those clips. I mainly wanted to highlight some examples of her unlikable behaviour and how much of a snake she is, especially with the Jeremy Renner drama where she chose not to listen to the full story and get the facts right, but instead decided to attack him and add fuel to the fire of a situation that was none of her business to begin with. Also, Rachel is projecting her arrogant personality into her portrayal of Snow White, making the character nothing more than her own self-insert, much like Mindy Kaling as Velma. Let's talk about the movie and what the movie looks like so far. Yikes. These dwarf designs are so hideous, they rightfully fit into the uncanny valley. Why would whoever the director of this film think it was a good idea to replicate the original animated designs of the dwarves into live-action CGI, and not think, maybe these designs would come across as real creepy and grotesque to everyone that so happened to watch this upcoming train wreck to try to make realistic? Why not just hire real people? The original animated designs of the dwarves were not supposed to look like real human beings, and that was the point. They were designed like that to be unique only to the animation medium, and animation isn't supposed to project real life and vice versa. Now let's talk about Gal Gadot as the Evil Queen. The original Evil Queen did have a somewhat striking appearance, but with the main focus of making her sinister looking to coincide with the character's evil nature. Gal is known for her striking appearance, but she can't communicate the sinister nature of the Evil Queen through her looks, making her a miscast for the Queen. And now back to Zegler.
Look at the top of his head!
That hairstyle is awful. At its core, Snow White is nothing more than another live-action Disney product stripped of character, with someone attached to it who is nothing more than a toxic and entitled person who is digging her own grave by her antagonistic behaviour and does not deserve any of our money for her work. By reviewing this movie, you are still financially supporting its box office growth. Whilst being a live-action remake, it'll only encourage Disney just to keep pumping them out by giving them attention. I haven't even seen Mufasa. I saw Sonic instead, because I have taste. An actual passion went into making that film, and Keanu Reeves' Shadow is one of the greatest achievements in human history. I will not be watching Snow White, and neither should you. If we let this movie bomb hard, maybe Disney will see that their live-action movies are no longer winning people over, because nobody wants this, or any of these, and go back to being creative with new ideas, or just release more sequels to movies that didn't end with the potential for a sequel. Example, Moana 2. I still haven't seen it, but before it was even released, I didn't think a Moana sequel would work, because the first movie already felt like a complete point A to point B story, with the world building that was being expanded on as the movie progressed. And I'm not surprised with what people have to say about the film. The only sequel announced that actually could work would probably be Zootopia 2, because the first film I felt the world all the animals lived in could be expanded on more. Like, where are the birds? Where are the reptiles in this society? Do they live in separate cities from one another? Maybe the sequel might answer those questions. But this is the same company that produced Incredibles 2. A sequel with a villain at the end of the first movie teased to be a much bigger threat, only gets 5 minutes of screen time, and just introduces another villain with the audience wondering throughout the entire film, where the hell did the Underminer go? And what other cities is he going to destroy in his path, while everyone just sits around not caring? But to be fair, he probably fled back underground to prepare for another day, or just not to be in the rest of this movie at all. Talk about wasted potential. But anyway, that is all I have to say. I'm just skipping this movie. What do y'all think? Leave a like, tell me what you thought about this video in the comments, and I'll see you next time.